You've lost 5 pounds, 10 pounds, maybe even more, and you were so hopeful. Finally, you were doing something for your health, putting in the effort, waking up early for walks, skipping that donut at breakfast, drinking more water, getting to bed earlier. And then you go back to the doctor, full of anticipation, holding those test results with a smile, certain you were finally going to hear good news. But the doctor looks at the results, frowns, and says those soul-crushing words, "The fatty liver is still there. The enzymes are still off. The ultrasound shows practically nothing has changed." What do you mean? You did everything right, you lost weight, you made sacrifices, and your liver didn't improve? That's when the deep frustration hits. That feeling of helplessness, that urge to give up, because it seems like nothing you do is enough. You start wondering if your case is irreversible, if you waited too long, if you'll end up needing a transplant even though you're doing everything by the book. And the worst part is, no one explained beforehand that losing weight on its own doesn't guarantee the reversal of fatty liver. No one told you there's a specific protocol, an exact combination of factors that needs to happen simultaneously for that overworked organ to finally start regenerating. You didn't fail. You simply didn't have the complete information, and today I'm going to show you exactly what's missing from your strategy. I need to start by sharing a statistic that will shock you, but that you need to know to understand the seriousness of what we're dealing with here. A study recently published in the Journal of Hepatology followed over 2,000 patients with fatty liver disease who lost weight through diet and exercise, and the results were alarming. Only 32% of these patients, less than a third, completely reversed their fatty liver after a year of weight loss. This means the vast majority of people who are trying hard, who are losing weight, who are doing everything doctors tell them to do, aren't solving the problem. Why? Because there's a fundamental piece of the puzzle missing, a variable that almost no one is controlling, and that's precisely what we're going to talk about today. My name is Dr. Ricardo Mendez, and I've been a hepatologist for over 15 years. Every day I see patients in my office who are frustrated, confused, and scared because they lost weight, but their liver didn't improve. I created this channel because I'm tired of seeing people suffer in silence, thinking the problem is with them, that they don't have enough willpower, that they're weak or incompetent. The truth is, you haven't received the complete information, and without complete information, it's impossible to win this battle. Every week I bring you updated protocols here, based on the latest research in liver health, things most doctors don't even know yet or don't have time to explain during a 15-minute appointment. If you're tired of trying and failing, if you finally want to understand what truly works to reverse fatty liver, subscribe to this channel now and hit the notification bell. I'm going to guide you step by step on this recovery journey, and I promise you one thing. You'll leave here with clarity, renewed hope, and an action plan that actually works. You're not alone in this fight, and together we will win. But before I reveal the missing piece in your treatment, I need you to understand something very important. Fatty liver isn't just accumulated fat that magically disappears when you lose weight. The mechanism behind fatty liver disease is much more complex than that, and if you don't attack the root of the problem, you can lose 50 pounds and still have that fat there, slowly killing your liver cells, progressing to fibrosis, cirrhosis, and liver failure. I'll explain exactly why this happens, but first, let me tell you the story of Mariana, a patient who completely changed how I treat fatty liver. Mariana was 42 when she first came to my office. She looked visibly worn out, with deep dark circles under her eyes, and she carried a folder full of exams. She told me she'd been diagnosed with fatty liver 2 years ago, and since then, she'd lost 18 pounds through a strict low-carb diet and exercising 5 times a week. She was so proud of her progress, showing before and after photos, talking enthusiastically about how she'd changed her entire routine. But when I looked at her latest tests, my heart sank. The ultrasound still showed grade 2 fatty liver. Her ALT and AST enzymes were at 120, and 95, respectively, way above normal. And the elastography indicated early fibrosis. Mariana had lost weight. She had changed her entire lifestyle, but her liver was getting worse, not better. She started crying right there in front of me, saying she didn't know what else to do, that she was exhausted from trying, that she was afraid of dying and leaving her young children without a mother. That's when I decided to investigate further, and I discovered something that changed everything. Now, I need to ask you a question, and I want you to be completely honest with me, because your answer could help thousands of people watching this video right now. When you started losing weight to treat your fatty liver, did you know there are specific types of weight loss that work and types that don't work for reversing fatty liver? Did you know that the speed at which you lose weight matters as much as the amount of weight lost? Did you know that if you don't control a specific hormone in your body, you could lose all the weight in the world and still keep the fatty liver intact? I know how frustrating it is to find out you were doing everything wrong without even knowing it. I know how much it hurts to realize you could have saved months or years of effort if someone had explained this to you sooner. So I want you to comment below. Use these words if you like. I lost weight, but my fatty liver didn't improve. Don't be ashamed, don't feel judged, because this is a safe space. When you comment, you're showing other people that they're not alone in this battle. You're creating a support network. You're helping someone going through the same anguish as you. Comment now, because I read every single comment, and your story matters. Your experience could save someone's life. Back to Mariana, I asked her to do some additional tests that most doctors don't order when treating fatty liver. I wanted to check her fasting insulin levels, a full glucose and insulin curve, her A1C, and some specific inflammation markers. When the results came back, everything clicked. Mariana's fasting insulin was 28, and the ideal is below 5. The glucose curve showed massive insulin spikes after meals, hitting 150 at times. She had severe insulin resistance, and that was why her liver wasn't improving even with weight loss. Let me break down what that means in a way that will stick with you forever. When you eat anything, especially carbs, your pancreas releases insulin to shuttle blood glucose into your cells. Insulin is like a key that unlocks the cell door for glucose to enter and be used for energy. But with insulin resistance, those doors get sticky. They don't open properly, so the pancreas has to churn out more and more insulin to get the glucose in. And here's the big secret nobody tells you. High insulin in your blood completely shuts down fat burning in your liver. When you have hyperinsulinemia, the technical term for too much insulin floating around, your liver goes into full-on storage mode. It can't break down the fat already stored there. It can only pack away more and more. It's like trying to drain a pool while someone left the faucet running, refilling it. Now you get why Mariana lost 40 pounds and her liver didn't improve. She was eating less, exercising, losing body weight, but her insulin remained sky high because she wasn't tackling the insulin resistance. She was doing low carb, which is good, but she was eating every 3 hours like many nutritionists recommend, and every time you eat, even a little, even something healthy, you trigger insulin. She was stimulating insulin production 6 times a day, keeping levels consistently elevated, and consequently keeping her liver in fat accumulation mode 24/7. When I explained this to her, she was floored because no doctor had ever mentioned insulin. They all just talked about calories and the number on the scale. But the story doesn't end there, because there's another factor that complicates this picture even further, and it was present in Mariana's case too. When I asked about her sleep quality, she confessed she slept terribly, waking up multiple times a night, rarely getting more than 5 hours of continuous sleep. She thought it was normal, just the price of stress from work and the hustle of modern life. But what she didn't know is that chronic sleep deprivation brutally increases insulin resistance. Studies show that just one night of poor sleep can reduce insulin sensitivity by up to 30%. Imagine years of sleeping badly. The metabolic damage is immense. On top of that, Bad sleep cranks up cortisol, the stress hormone, and high cortisol also worsens insulin resistance and promotes visceral and liver fat accumulation. So you see the perfect storm brewing in Mariana's body. She had untreated insulin resistance, ate multiple times a day, keeping insulin perpetually high, slept terribly, further increasing resistance and cortisol. And despite all her efforts to lose weight, her liver simply couldn't shed the fat because all these factors were working against her. And the worst part is, she wasn't lazy, she wasn't neglectful, she didn't lack willpower. She was doing everything she thought was right, but no one had explained how her body truly worked. No one had given her the complete protocol. Now, I'm going to tell you what I did with Mariana, and this protocol I'm about to reveal changed not only her life, but the lives of hundreds of patients I've treated since. The first thing I did was completely overhaul her eating strategy. I kept the low-carb approach, but implemented what we call a restricted eating window. Instead of eating 6 times a day, she started eating just twice a day, within an 8-hour window. She had her first meal at noon and her second at 8 in the evening, fasting for 16 hours every day. This allowed her insulin levels enough time to drop completely between meals, finally letting her liver switch into fat-burning mode. During her fasting periods with no high insulin, her body began using liver fat for fuel, starting to clear out those triglyceride-filled cells. But I didn't stop there, because intermittent fasting alone wouldn't be enough if the insulin resistance remained severe. I prescribed her metformin, an anti-diabetic medication that dramatically improves insulin sensitivity. Many doctors only prescribe metformin to diabetics, but I use it with virtually all my patients who have fatty liver and insulin resistance, even if they aren't diabetic. Metformin helps cells respond better to insulin, reduces glucose production by the liver, and has direct effects on reducing liver fat. The dose I used for Mariana was 1,000 milligrams twice a day. All was taken after meals to avoid gastrointestinal side effects. Some patients experience mild nausea or diarrhea initially, but it usually passes within a week or 2. The third step of the protocol was optimizing her sleep. I instructed her to prioritize getting at least 7 hours of sleep per night in a completely dark and quiet room, avoiding screens for at least an hour before bed. To help, I prescribed chelated magnesium, 300 milligrams before bed, as magnesium improves sleep quality and also aids insulin sensitivity. In some more stubborn cases, I use extended-release melatonin, but for Mariana, magnesium was sufficient. She started sleeping better in less than a week, waking up more refreshed, and this had a huge impact on her cortisol levels and liver recovery. The fourth step was incorporating high-intensity interval training, or HIIT. Studies show that HIIT is far more effective than traditional aerobic exercise for reducing liver fat and improving insulin sensitivity. I had Mariana do just 20 minutes of HIIT 3 times a week, alternating 30 seconds of maximum effort with 90 seconds of recovery. She did it on the treadmill, running as fast as she could for 30 seconds, then walking slowly for 90 seconds, repeating this for 20 minutes. It doesn't sound like much time, but it's incredibly effective because this type of exercise rapidly depletes muscle glycogen, forcing the body to tap into fat reserves for energy, including liver fat. The fifth and final step was strategic supplementation. Besides the magnesium I already mentioned, I included vitamin D because most people are deficient, and low vitamin D is directly linked to worsening fatty liver disease. The dose I use is 10,000 units daily until levels normalize, then I maintain with 4,000 units daily. I also included high-quality omega-3, 2 grams per day, because it has a potent anti-inflammatory action in the liver and helps reduce the progression of fatty liver to steatohepatitis. And finally, I included berberine, 500 milligrams 3 times a day, which is a natural compound with effects similar to metformin, improving insulin sensitivity and reducing liver fat. 6 months after implementing this complete protocol, Mariana returned to my office with new tests. She had lost another 15 pounds, totaling 55 pounds since the start of her journey, but that wasn't the most important thing. The ultrasound showed a significant reduction in fatty liver, which had gone from grade 2 to a mild grade 1. Her ALT enzymes dropped from 120 to 42, and AST from 95 to 38, both practically normalized. The elastography showed complete regression of initial fibrosis. Mariana was radiant, cried again, but this time with happiness and relief. She thanked me, said she had regained hope, that she had started believing again that she could have a long and healthy life with her children. And the most incredible thing is that she wasn't suffering, wasn't starving, wasn't killing herself at the gym. She was following an intelligent science-based protocol, addressing the root of the problem instead of just trying to cut calories. If you have fatty liver and are struggling to lose weight but aren't seeing results on your tests, hit the like button on this video now, because that shows me you're truly committed to your health and motivates me to keep bringing you this kind of content. And even more importantly, comment below with your AST and ALT levels, so I can get an idea of how many people here have altered enzymes despite weight loss. Your participation helps others realize they aren't alone, and the more comments we get, the more YouTube will recommend this video to others who need this information. Now I know you probably have some questions, so let me anticipate the most common ones I get about this protocol. First question: does everyone need to do intermittent fasting to reverse fatty liver? The answer is not necessarily, but intermittent fasting greatly speeds up the process and is the most effective way we know today to reduce insulin and allow the liver to burn fat. If you have a medical contraindication, like type 1 diabetes or a history of eating disorders, obviously you shouldn't do it without professional supervision. But for most people with fatty liver, intermittent fasting is safe and extremely beneficial. Second question: can I reverse fatty liver without using metformin? Yes, it's possible, but it will take longer and the success rate is lower. Metformin significantly boosts results, especially if you have confirmed insulin resistance on tests. If you're hesitant about using medication, talk to your doctor, get the insulin tests I mentioned, and make an informed decision. But I can assure you that metformin is one of the safest medications out there. It's been used for decades, has very few serious side effects, and its benefits for the liver are immensely proven. Third question: how long does it take to completely reverse fatty liver following this protocol? It depends on the grade of fatty liver you have right now. If you have mild grade 1 fatty liver, you can reverse it completely in 3 to 6 months. If you have moderate grade 2, it usually takes 6 months to a year. If you already have severe grade 3 or steatohepatitis and fibrosis, it can take 1 to 2 years to reverse completely. But the important thing is that you'll start seeing improvement on your tests within the first 3 months, and that gives you motivation to continue because you see it's working. Fourth question: do I need to cut out carbs completely, or can I eat brown rice and whole wheat bread? You don't need to zero out carbs, but you need to drastically reduce them, especially at the beginning of treatment. Ideally, stay below 50 grams of carbohydrates per day for the first few weeks to accelerate the reversal of insulin resistance. Then, as your tests improve, you can gradually increase to up to 100 or 150 grams, always prioritizing complex carbohydrates like sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, and completely avoiding sugar, white bread, refined pasta, juices, and sodas. Fifth question: what if I've already done all this and still haven't improved? If you've truly implemented all the steps of the protocol correctly for at least 6 months and haven't seen any improvement on your tests, it's possible you have another underlying medical condition interfering, such as untreated hypothyroidism, severe sleep apnea, use of medications that worsen fatty liver like corticosteroids or certain antidepressants, or even a stronger genetic predisposition. In these cases, you need a more in-depth investigation with a hepatologist, possibly including elastography and even a liver biopsy to understand exactly what's going on. Let me quickly tell you about another patient of mine, John, who had a completely different scenario from Mariana, but also benefited immensely from this protocol. John was 58 years old, a truck driver, spent entire days sitting and driving, ate poorly on the road, and slept little and irregularly. When he discovered he had fatty liver, he was at a relatively normal body weight, 187 pounds for 5 feet 9 inches, a BMI of 27, which is just mild overweight. His doctor told him he needed to lose a little weight, but John didn't understand why, because he wasn't obese, wasn't that overweight. The truth is, John had what we call normal weight metabolic obesity, meaning even without being very overweight, he had a lot of visceral and liver fat and severe insulin resistance. When I ordered his insulin tests, his results were even worse than Mariana's. John implemented the same protocol I described, tailored to his life as a cross-country trucker. He packed healthy meals for the road, practiced intermittent fasting by skipping breakfast and eating only at noon and 6 p.m., religiously took his metformin, and on weekends when he was home, he'd do HIIT workouts and prioritize good sleep. In 8 months, John only lost 6 pounds on the scale, but the ultrasound showed an almost complete reversal of his fatty liver disease, going from grade 2 to practically normal, and his liver enzymes completely normalized. John's case is important because it shows it's not just about the number on the scale. It's about what's happening metabolically inside your body. You can be thin and still have a fatty liver. You can lose weight and still have a fatty liver. It all depends on whether you're addressing the root cause, which is insulin resistance. Another crucial aspect that I need to mention, and that many people forget, is the impact of chronic stress on liver health. Elevated stress keeps cortisol high all the time, and high cortisol has 3 devastating effects. It increases insulin resistance, it promotes fat accumulation in the liver, and it worsens systemic inflammation. I had a patient, Fernanda, who was doing everything right in terms of diet and exercise, but she worked in an extremely stressful job, constantly lived anxious and tense, and her test results barely improved. When she changed jobs to something less stressful and started practicing daily meditation, in 3 months her liver tests improved more than they had in the entire previous year. This shows you how the body functions as an integrated system. It's no use attacking just one aspect and ignoring the others. Now, let me give you the consolidated summary of everything you need to do to truly reverse fatty liver disease, not just lose weight. First, you need to drastically reduce carbohydrates, prioritizing quality protein, good fats, and vegetables. Second, you need to implement intermittent fasting, starting with a 16-hour fast and an 8-hour eating window. Third, you need to investigate and treat insulin resistance, possibly with metformin if your tests show it's necessary. Fourth, you need to sleep well, at least 7 hours per night in a suitable environment with good sleep hygiene. Fifth, you need to do high-intensity exercise at least 3 times a week. It doesn't need to be for a long time, but it needs to be intense. Sixth, you need to supplement with vitamin D, omega-3, magnesium, and possibly berberine. Seventh, you need to manage stress through relaxation techniques, meditation, therapy, or lifestyle changes. And eighth, you need to monitor with regular checkups every 3 months to adjust the protocol as needed. This is the complete protocol. This is the information that should be given to everyone diagnosed with fatty liver disease. But unfortunately, most doctors don't provide it due to lack of time, lack of updated knowledge, or even lack of interest. I'm giving you here for free in a few-minute video what many people pay for expensive consultations and don't receive. So, if this video was helpful to you, if you finally understood why your previous efforts didn't work, if you now have clarity on what you really need to do, I ask you to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and most importantly, share this video with someone you love who is also struggling with fatty liver disease. You could literally save someone's life by sharing this information. And if you've tried to reverse fatty liver disease before and failed, comment below what you tried and what didn't work. I read all the comments and can often identify where people's strategies went wrong and respond to help them correct their course. Your story could be the light someone needed to not give up, so don't keep it to yourself. Share your experience in the comments now. In the next video, I'll be discussing a topic many of you have asked about: how to reverse non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, NASH, which is the next stage of fatty liver disease when there's already active inflammation in the liver. I'll show you signs that you might be progressing from simple fatty liver to NASH, and the specific protocol to treat liver inflammation before it causes irreversible fibrosis. Don't miss this video because it could make all the difference between keeping your liver healthy or progressing to a serious disease. See you next time, and remember, your liver has an incredible capacity to regenerate, but you need to give it the right tools to do so. Take care.